This it comes from my Igbo name, Amarachi. Then my words transcend down into your spirit. It must find you, must feel the emotional connection between what I'm saying and yourself.
Wow. Hello, people. Welcome to today's episode of Meet the Creative, live at Obaji Shrine in the wonderful city of Onitsha. I remain your host, Amarachi Precious. Today we have with us one of the creative. He is a spoken word artist known in and out of Anambra State. He is none other person but Agu Chinedum Odnakachi K-System. Welcome, K-System.
Thank you very much.
Wow, I love your name, K-System. It's really stunning. Okay, so let's move on. Moving on, we would like to know about you. Tell us about yourself.
Well, like you said, my name is Agu Chinedum Odnakachi, popularly known as K-System. I'm a spoken word artist. I'm a brand analyst, and most importantly, I'm an advocate for the boy child. That's about me.
Wow, advocate for boy child. This is the first time I'm hearing that, but okay, interesting. We'll ask you that on our, maybe another episode of our interview. Okay, so we'd like to ask you, what is your own view about spoken words? What is spoken words to you?
Okay, when you talk about spoken words, to the artist, it depends on what they view about it and how they derive their own expression from it. Yeah, so to me, I derive my own expression from experience. A spoken word artist like me, I pick out my words from a common thing, or let me say the common things that we are familiar with, our happenings, events in our surroundings, trending words and the rest of them. I bring it together to put up a piece that when I'm performing, you resonate with it, you flow with it, because these are things you are familiar with, these are words you are familiar with, and it is not about just putting spoken word or poetry elements together. It is making your audience flow with it. That is what I view about spoken word. And two, spoken word comes from expression, like I said, understanding, knowledge, and point of view. How you view things, your own perspective of life, your own perspective of humanity, your own perspective of your society. That is what spoken word. So you see this spoken word artist performing spoken word in a different level and in a different dimension. You see me performing spoken word in a different level and in a different dimension. That doesn't mean that we are not spoken word artists. It is our own expression on a different perspective.
Wow, interesting. So we also like to ask you, why venture into spoken words? What's your story?
I started spoken words in the year 2014. Then I could remember I wasn't able to read. That was in my primary school days. So what my tutor, my primary school teacher did then was she would put up words, poems, and give to me to memorize and cram them. So after memorizing and cramming them, I'll come back to school, recite it for her. We continued that for a long time, and at the end of the section during this school event, I'm going to perform there. I remember the first performance I had was our president, Olusegun Obasanjo. I expressed him in his own unique form. Then the second performance I had in school was The Sweetest Killer. It talks about drug abuse and everything that has to do with social vices that leads one to drug abuse. So The Sweetest Killer was a poem. It wasn't my poem, it was that of a tutor in school who writes poem. So after I left secondary school, I began to develop myself. This time around, I no longer wanted to say people's poem. I wanted to develop my own self-expression, and that was why I started writing. So for me to develop more, I had to look for someone who helped me out. I met our school deputy senior prefect. Then he became my coach. He was a literature student. He became my coach. He began to groom me on how to put up spoken word elements, how to put up poetic elements, metaphors, and the rest of them. And from there, I was able to write poems. Though I wasn't good, but I was writing, advancing until I left secondary school. So when I left secondary school, I came out to Onitsha and saw that there is a need for me to dive into spoken words. I'm this type of person, when I speak to people, I'm very good at elevating spirit. When I speak to people, I elevate their spirit. I'm a bag of positivity. Yes, though I grew up in a social environment where a negative, or let me say negative influence were around me, but I remained to be positive. I resisted myself from diving into that negative aspect, but remaining in the positive aspect. So I'm a bag of positivity. So after discovering or learning that I could, stand as a voice to my generation, I looked into becoming a professional spoken word artist, and I started developing myself. That was when I formed the name KC Storm.
Wow, interesting story behind this spoken words of yours. Okay, so we would like to know, what's the story behind the name KC Storm and Storm Arc?
Okay. The storm, KC, like the name KC Storm. KC comes from my Igbo name, Amarachi, KC. So it's an abbreviation that I brought out because right in secondary school and after secondary school, people were calling me Kachi. I was known as Kachi. So I needed a brand name, so I had to abbreviate Kachi, KC. So the storm comes from my life experience. I remember spoken word is about expression and experience. So everything I've passed through, my life hurdles, my encounters, failures, and growth, I grew out of this force of negligence. I grew out of this force of abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and the rest of them, psychological abuse, sexual abuse, and the rest of them. So, and after encountering all those things, I refused to heed to their force, and I groomed myself to stand above every other force, and I became a force. And that force, there is no other name I would have used to express it than the storm. What happens with the storm? When a storm happens, you feel it. There is no barrier for a storm. If a storm is coming towards this place, it will break down everything here. So it flows into my mood of expression through words. When I speak, my words transcend down into your spirit. It must find you, must feel the emotional connection between what I'm saying and yourself.
Wow.
That's very good.
Wow. The name Storm, like, you actually made me think about it today. Storm. That's really a very nice name, a very wonderful name for your brand. So we heard about the Storm Arc and an event you want to bring to the city of Onitsha. So we would like to know the details of this event.
Remember that I've explained the storm, so I'll now talk about arc. Okay. So when you talk about arc from biblical representation, you know that arc deals with housing creatives, housing different species, bringing them together to preserve them from any force, from any kind of experience. So when I came back from secondary school, because I was a brother, when I came down to Onitsha, I started looking for a creative community to join them, to express myself. When you go to Lagos, you find organization hosting poetry slams. When you go to Abuja, you find them. But when you come down to Onitsha, you hardly find any of them. And I searched for about 2 years and more to find a creative organization that will promote poetry, that will groom me as a poet. I couldn't find. And so I decided to start grooming myself. I decided to grow myself. I started listening to other spoken word artists, started listening, relating, going for events, going for activities hosted by poetry communities and the rest of them. I started grooming myself. So I promised myself that I'm going to open a literary society that will promote poetry, that will groom upcoming spoken word artists, and that will also, promote self-expression. So, by His grace, earlier this year, I found a community, Obaji Creative Community, And Obaji vision is to bring creatives together for collaboration, for them to find means to express themselves, to promote the creatives in Onitsha, in Anambra State. So what did I do? I joined them, and since then I found expression through them. So by the grace of God, we partnered to bring down my vision to light, to promote what fellow creatives and the rest of them. So that was where the Storm Arc came into place, and that was how the event coming up on 27th of October came into light. So we are planning for it.
Okay. So this event of 27th of October, it's all about spoken word artists, and it's going to happen at Obaji Shrine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So to our good people out there, first I would like to say a shout out to Obaji Shrine for giving us a great creative in form of a spoken word artist. It's been a good time with us around here, having our guests telling us about spoken word artists and everything about spoken words. It was really, really interesting. So I would also like to remind you not to miss out on the 27th of October for these Echoes of Freedom at Obaji Shrine. So it promises to be lit. Come and meet your favorite spoken word artist. So with this, I would like to say we'll meet again in the next episode of Meet the Creative. I'm still your girl, Amarachi Precious.